So hello everybody, and welcome back to some more post-Christmas WARNO action. I hope you all aren't too hungover and aren't too full with all the good stuff, but I hope you all had good holidays. And yeah, it's time to get back into some WARNO action as we're going back into Division 4, finishing off Season 5, because Season 6 is already on the way. And Division 4 Grand Finals here, coming up between Barkas and What a Man. Barkas on the right with the lovely number name. And yeah, if you guys haven't signed up for Season 6 yet, you will actively start, so just get yourself into it. And you find the link in the chat right now. Open for everybody, any skill level, as always. Gonna start in January and at the 19th, so come on and join us for Season 6. And yeah, with that said, let's focus here on the Division 4 Grand Final, on a pretty interesting matchup that we got here in the first one, with Barkas picking 25th here versus the 2nd Panzer Grenadier first pick of What a Man. Why the hell is Discord playing with me here again? It showed me that you had a voice, and now it is not showing your voice again in the in the Streamlabs. Why is Streamlabs playing with us again? What is this? Yeah, I can hear you, but I believe the people out there can't. So that is a bit odd. And I'm currently trying to fix this and trying to figure out what exactly is going wrong here. Can you talk now again? Okay, can you hear him now? Everybody.
Yes, Christmas is striking back. We have been actively operating against Santa Claus, and Santa Claus is finally getting their revenge. So basically, I was talking about how the Motorosvedka helicopter deployment is a way to try to fight off the 2nd Panzergrenadiers' opener advantage, despite the forces not being capable of fighting against the forward deployment of 2nd Panzergrenadier. The recon helicopter gunships are doing horrible damage against the Germans, and the standard anti-helicopter unit of 2nd Panzergrenadier, the Belgian F-16, was just shot down by the Su-27S. So everything seems to be going up Barca here. Standard Fallschirmjägers and Luxus are more than enough to fight off the Zero-vet Motorosvedka, but with the discount mech aggro of the slightly upgraded BMP-1s and the unupgraded T-64s. And with both of those helicopter gunships actually surviving these opening attacks here, this is not the worst. I pointed out that this is something new, the double card Motora Svedka, and using these helicopters to just kind of stop the enemy on their tracks and give you some space for your T-64s to start getting kills. This is going quite nicely for the red player here, who picked second as a counter pick to second Panzergrenadier.
F-16 now getting behind the Su-27. Su-27 got stuck on the enemy spawn here and is in trouble. Gets shot up pretty badly, but has a decent chance of it escaping here. F-16 out of missiles, but it has the good Vulcan gun and it gets the kill. That is a great kill. And the T-64 in trouble on the ground as well. Gets shot down as well here. And yeah, sorry for everybody for that kerfuffle. The Streamlabs showed me that the voice was being transferred, and it showed me the like voice pitch. I didn't mute anything, but it somehow didn't transfer it after turning it off and on again. It worked. The classic IT tip number 1. So that functions now, and yeah, now we're back here. Sorry for just that minutes of silence where Cloyd was talking. He tried to tell us that this, is a pretty weird little opener here out of Bacchus with those helicopter transports, with the 2 Motora Svedka teams. But the helicopter opener worked out. It was a lot of meat, like Bacchus was putting all his Christmas dinner into the meat. He left out the gravy, he left out all the extras, all the crowd and all of that stuff, and just went full on meat with tanks, with IFV infantry and a couple of recon units. No AA units, no artillery units, no real fire support, but it did work out so far, though the T-64 loss will stop him from getting into Foxtrot, and it's Waterman currently holding the +3 take, +2 now, but still going up in the points, so that means Bacchus is the one that actually has to push through here.
Yeah, so at this very moment, the mech attack that is happening around Point Foxtrot, there are no units to actually counter the Soviet mech. The T-64 and the BMP-1s just dealing with that veteran Marder. Marder reinforcements are coming in, but none of them can actually realistically penetrate the T-64. As long as this attack keeps going, the Waterman is going to have to basically trade down in trying to drive the enemy out of here. This is buying excellent amounts of space for Barca. Now F-16 manages to take out the gunship. That is an excellent kill for the F-16 and kind of punishing the fact that this was a complete aggro opener with no opening coup, which you would generally buy. The opening Su-27 was recently
Motostralky though getting some good hits in the south, getting a Jaguar, getting a CV unit already. But Leo now coming in time to stun it down, disengaging into a decently safe distance as well. That was pretty scary there, but the Leo 1A5 plus the 7.6mm MG holding in the line. Question is, can the northern flank maybe get collapsed by Bacchus? He got the Jaguar already, he still has the T-64 as fire support. There's only one Marder with a Milan there as a defense, but that goes down now as well. Outside of that, no anti-tank up there, so the BMP-1 and the T-64 can just freely fire away on a decently safe distance. More Marders with Panzergrenadiers trying to come around from the north. Oh, the Motostralky not intercepting there. Big mistake by Bacchus, as that means that the Panzergrenadier might get in range here to deal with the T-64. Marder getting out. No! Oh, it dies with transport! Ooh, this is such a heavy fight here right now. Both sides taking losses, but lately it's mostly blue units going down again. And Bacchus might actually make this push work here.
Yeah, I mean, Barca is buying a Mazda 2 coups and following up a Mazda under around 5 minutes, though this is a very quick transition into an actual combined arms packed mech play. These are up-vetted coups, which I believe come 1 per card, so this is a mega aggro blade. Both of these, this is 2 cards of air. Of AA being sent into 2 units here, Mazda also being up-vetted once, and considering that with the Motostrelki Komrote unit here, the leader unit, It is not mobile. It has not actually captured Alpha. What a man's outlier unit has walked all the way to Alpha. There is no real way for What a man to currently exploit this fact, but it is giving him a +1 tick here. This is a very, very, very much an all-in game with an all-in deck to work with it. And the biggest strength here right now is that with the blue early down trade, there are not really solid combined arms out there. Harrier actually just getting shot down by one of the veteran coups, and the Masta is gonna, if used properly, is gonna be a hugely powerful weapon in dealing with the singular units holding ground here. But right now, the red player Barca doesn't really have a proper aggro going on. In the southwest, there is an angle with 3 infantry units with and 1 tank, and they could maybe start actually doing something here, but there is no serious defensive line if the reinforcements of What a Man want to start pushing the northern side.
Gephardt goes down in the south though, and the T-64 there currently only challenged by a single Milan. The Milan currently not in position. T-64 here with good fire support. The Aufklärer is in the rear here of What a Man, seeing a lot of the southern rear area. T-64 BVK will finally move in there to finally stop the tick here that has been going on for a while. Ooh, Tornado AT gets double hit by the coups. 2 wet coups here paying off. Big victory for Bacchus, getting that without losing any of his own tanks. That's a big point victory here and might give him enough tempo now to push through in the south. His infantry stuck there a bit out in the open, as you pointed out, with relatively low veterancy. The leader helping out a bit, but the leader about to go down here, as the Fuchs and the Pioneer Carl Gustav holding it down. Ooh, it's down to 1 hit point, but for now it's still alive. Used all its 3 smoke grenades. Pioneer Carl Gustav will go down in the building most likely, but they might just take the... Yes, they take the Motorstalky leader out before they go down. That is a big little victory. Meanwhile, northern situation pretty stable. Finally, the point take has been stopped, and the southern situation here of What a Man looking just as fragile as the northern situation for Bacchus, but Bacchus has more units to push with here.
Protoss, Barca's reinforcements are 3 T-64 BVKs, leader tanks. One of them is already driving into Echo down south. Another one is going to be holding the middle here, basically alone, but it should be enough with supporting Plamia and weapons teams, future infantry maybe, and even a northern angle T-64 BVK. This may not be the most efficient play here at this very moment, but just having those tanks, and especially if your division is the lower veterancy with the standard BMP2 squads, for instance, compensating for a lot of daring points usage, these BVKs might actually be a nice decision. Su-25, one of the rocket sports is turned off, so this is a very, very responsible usage of the rocket airplane. Not managing to do massive damage right now, but Harrier HE2 with no AA missiles is diving in here. And shut down.
The coups doing it again. 3 vet coup next to the T-64 BVKs. And the line here is holding. The BVK has broken through. This is a really big problem. Leo 2A3 pushed back already by the Conqueror's missile. T-64 BVK getting the capture, getting the +2. That will swing around the point situation quickly. Leo 1A1 going down there as well. This situation here currently not developing well.
Leo 1A1 pushed. Well, there was a blind push by the Leo 1A1. What a man trying to find an angle here, but the leader T-64 was just right there in time to win that 1v1. So the Leopard is not up here, and the Leopard has gained important information, most importantly, that there is no infantry to actually stop anything. So the Sultan is trying to drive in there, but it might get taken out by the T-64 BVK, and with no supporting weaponry here. Oh, the Su-25...
Oh, it gets the kill.
Out the Leopard 2.
This is really, really bad. There's basically no anti-tank left here, especially as the Leo 1A1 gets gunned down as well. The Su-25s having made a clear path now for all the T-64s. The situation here is barely manageable for What a Man, as there are no ATGMs, there's no recon, there is no tank on the battlefield right now. Only a couple of infantry and a couple of support equipment weapons, but nothing enough to kill off planes. And those plane usages by Baka's really coming in clutch there. The SUs doing a really good job. Another tornado run in here, but with the 2-vet coops there, currently outside of the command range, but efficient enough here still. This won't work out. Using maps on planes on Izura on this map always dangerous, and it fails to work out here as well, as we have the first game over. Baka's with a really aggressive, good game plan here, and what a man, just not quite standing a chance in front of this really, really hot opener out of Baka's.
Yeah, I think you were correct about saying that this, especially with the plane comment about the plane airplay on Isura, is that this. I think this division, this 25th opener, was specifically designed for Isura. Like using two cards, we sometimes see top players take one card of up-vetted coups and then buying it first because that one is going to be firing most of the missiles, so the plus 10 percentage hit chance starts to pay off. In this game, we saw a full all-in on so many accounts, and even having the like two up-vetted coups coming out there under 5 minutes with a Masta, and the willingness to leave that leave the side zone uncaptured to keep up the aggro, the ability to immediately after the first large engagement was countered to just start out a new one using literally 4 different units, 3 of which were infantry just moving around open ground. This was very, very well planned by Barca. I don't know if this was a specific second Panzer Grenadier counter, but it truly was a specific counter here.
Yeah, job really, really well done. He knew what he was doing there. The helicopter play, there were some issues right at the beginning, like the S-27 loss and so on, but he kept it around and he focused on killing the important units on the other side, and once he got them down, there was not much what a man could do here. So, really decisive game number 1. Gonna go into a short break, and then we're gonna figure out if one man can bring it around, or if Barkas can bring another one like this. Having played Barkas a lot in both Steel Division 2 and WARNO ladder, I know he likes his openers. If they start to fail, his situation often doesn't quite go up as well, so if one man can maybe get a game going a bit longer, I believe the chances will increase a good bit, but we'll see if that is going to be a good plan here, and let's see if that all works out. Quick break, guys, and then we're going to be back with game number 2. So here we go, game number 2. Baka is up 1-0, and we are on a good old WARNO map. And Baka is doing a similar division pick with first Tankovi, but seemingly a really different opener here. Because last game it was all just meat, no support at all, no extra part from the menu. But this time around he brought the vegetables, he got the gravy, he got it all there. He has artillery, he has AA, and he has a good amount of recon, but way less meat. So the diet here of Baka is changing quite a bit. But on the other side, we have Waterman with a pretty similar setup to last game as well. 4th Division here. Really classic layout, 2 division once more. So what do we get out of this here on Vertigo?
Yeah, so this time the Leo 2 division here, what a man is counter picking. And first Tankovi is interesting because it being a Czechoslovak division, it has a bunch of nice key units. The 6-man Special Forces RT ships units, the GSR recon units are one, the SVO, which is the kind of uh, discount Buratino. That's a one. That's another interesting unit here. Just being able to keep buying Motostrelci in these 30-point BMP ones is a third little trait. And then we have the super heavy mortar Tulipan coming in here. We are with 2 OSAs, an SVO, and a Tulipan. This is maybe some of the most support equipment heavy openers we've seen. So no matter how first Tankova is technically supposed to be played, it is being played extremely defensively here. And I think that's a natural counter to the fact that 4th Division, the Dutch armored division, is one of the most aggressive armored divisions, with the KCT Werkeners or offering basically the same task as the RT ships, but with smaller and slightly more available squads. The N113 CNVs being lightly armored and not that fast, but very well armed recon vehicles to support them. And this being Vertigo, we generally expect the more aggressive player to automatically get Delta and or Charlie, and that if there are mech forces in play, such as Leopard 2s and 3s, 2s and 1s, you want them to be attacking the Bravo Alpha angle. So this seems to be a kind of a complicated counter from Barca, expecting there to be both of these things, but wanting to basically overpower the enemy around the middle and then start some kind of a defensive air and artillery game to whittle away the enemy's combined arms. So this is basically about denying the perfect engagement, the engagement that the Dutch want to have. And that is why no T-72s are actually moving into the area where the tank all-ins and tank aggro tend to happen.
And we also see a recontrol, so yeah, Baka is really pulling out all the toys that first Tankova has to offer, whilst on the other side, yeah, really classic 1 Leo 2, 1 Leo 1, an YPR with the TOW 2, and a couple of YPRs with Panzer Infantry here, plus support equipment here for the northern push, the classic move towards Alpha Force with still a decent investment into the south. Both sides there with somewhat similar investments there, but the KCTs are a bit outnumbered by the RT HPZ, so they would lose that fight, and they seemingly are running right into that fight, so that is not good for Waterman. Should try to get the KCT Vercaners out of there. Oh, but it's actually the RT HPZ that disengaged. That's a mistake by Barkas, as Genier now and the Bofors will help out the KCT Vercaners in a second. The Prost Community at least get the kill on the Vercaners in the south, but at the same time, Vercaners getting in first in the middle. That is pretty annoying here for Barkas. MR13 coming in here. Vercaners getting a kill against the BMP-1 too. So this really is an annoying start for the center opening here. MR13 at least gets taken out on the other side. And the northern push here not starting immediately by Waterman. Waterman here going about it a bit slower with the defensive setup. And there the Tulipan and the SVO really can come into shine.
Always seeing a Dutch freedom fighter diving in. This has a relatively heavy bomb load, diving in right at the infantry attack, but doesn't get to drop the bombs. The heavy AA opener working out here with a MiG-23 following up here. So Barca really investing early on into air control, and iHawk managing to tag back against the Flogger. Doesn't manage to actually get the kill, but basically now, yes, the iHawk is immediately loading up into its Dutch truck and will soon probably reposition so that the heavy artillery doesn't actually get some free shots against it. So far, the citadel in the middle, the heavy position from which you can kind of attack anywhere, is solidly under Czechoslovak control. And down south, we have a Pruskumnici that has managed to cut off the standard deployment into the zone of Charlie, but a recon helicopter is coming in from Wataman, which will allow basically any units, including an airplane, to destroy the Pruskumnici. And as you said, the not taking that fight against the KCT Verkeners down south kind of means that the RT ships are now reliant on this Mi-2 helicopter to actually fight the enemy. And with a Bofors gun out there, they have been hard countered. So right now, quite surprising for Wataman to take a little bit of an aggressive stance, but the Leopard 2 is being moved in to start attacking. And now first engagements are happening around the main area. Wataman has successfully built up a kind of a left flank by moving recon and ATGMs into those very precious forests. But also, on the other hand, the tanks and the BMP-2s are completely holding the right flank, making this a little bit more difficult to do tank aggro than you generally would have.
Yeah, and the BMP-1's now rotating south here and just being used as fire support, dealing with the Bofors gun, which can't fire back on them. That is efficient usage of these BMP-1s right now. They wouldn't do all that much in the north, but in the south, currently no unit really there to deal with them, so these 90 points of investment for those cheap IFVs really doing a decent job here now. Will deal with the Bofors, will start to deal with the Genie as well. Bofors still falling back as the Me-Too URP comes in, trying to help out with its 23mm gun. Genie, they're now in a really, really bad spot. So the south here in a lot of danger for Waterman, meaning that they have to start moving elsewhere. So Leo 2A4 now starts moving. Ooh, Barca's overstepping their welcome a bit there. Motostranzi being caught out in the open.
Yeah.
Really just weakening their own position in the center, making it easier to push that in the later stages. Tulipan now trying to get the Leo 2A4B tagged, so that the T-72 has an easier chance beating it. But the attack in the south, really big problem in the long run here for Waterman.
Yeah, so another recon drone is moving in here. So the recon drones cannot be targeted by radar AA or long-range AA, but heat seekers, AA guns, all of them, especially this F-16A coming in here, they are hard counters to the recon drone. You get a bunch of those recon drones, so losing them is not a massive catastrophe, but still you want them to be to hang around as any recon units. Their major strength is in stealth. Now the BMP-1s in the southern flank here opening fire against that Leopard 1 NL. Leopard 1 NL has only 1,900 meter range, so it's not the best in this engagement. The heaviest tank in the Czechoslovak arsenal, the T-72S, with those great Svir missiles and 18 armor, has now kind of landed in here, and we're seeing two veterans T-72s getting out here. So despite this defensive deployment, the tanks that are being bought here are aggressive tanks. Of course, taking your units at veterancy significantly limits the amount that you can bring out all throughout the whole game. And considering Leopard 2s will win 1v1 against T-72s, getting that little bit extra in aim time and stress resistance can actually matter, especially early on in the game.
Yeah, at the same time, Leo 2A4B rotating now itself, getting a good amount of support out there. Waterman still holding on to that little town. Nantes coming up as well. Leo 2A4B now getting into a fight with two T-72s. T-72S being hit, but yeah, the high veterancy here, pretty dangerous when it goes into a long game. You don't get all that many T-72s if you pick them all at 2 vet, even in a tank division like that. But yeah, as you pointed out, against the Leo 2s, you want to be as cost efficient as possible, so it makes good sense, and it currently works out. The Leo 2A4B is beaten here, has to get out there if it wants to survive. And the T-72S's long-range ATGM taking its first victim with a YPR as well. MiG-33 BN cluster coming around, getting a bit too close, but will survive on the way out, as the Leo 2A4 is running for its life. Northern situation is somewhat stable as well, without anybody capturing the south, and without anybody capturing the northern point alpha. We have still no take on either side. Oh, but the Leo 2A4B eats a missile. The T-72S here getting a successful hit with the severe, and this is a major loss here for Waterman. Currently having to be careful not to end up like in the last game without enough things to stop the medium tanks on the other side. And yeah, the KCT Vercanis here getting some good AT shots out, but not quite getting the kill just yet. Can they finally finish off the T-72? It doesn't look like it. So this is a bit of a problem here as well. A Leo 2A4C being brought up. One Leo 2A4B in the north still standing, but the tank numbers here not great right now for Waterman, and he has to be really careful with the ones he got.
Yeah, with the Velitel Motostelzu taking Charlie in just a second, and with no leader moving into contest Delta. So this is going to be, for the moment, a Czechoslovak points victory. And with no infantry outside of the Panzerinfanterie Dragon actually pressuring the northern side, these attacks are going to be pretty slow. And if they're slow, this means that the T-72S in the northern flank here is going to be able to open fire, almost destroying that TOW2 launcher, the Pratt, and now getting a great side shot going against a front shot against the Leopard 2A4B. The 2A4B variants are basically 3-shot killed by the Svir missiles into their front armor. So they do want to get in close enough to get in the gun range.
Ooh, cluster bomber! The YPR goes down as well. Leo 2A4B just barely survives for now. Can the F-16 retaliate? It hasn't gotten any missiles on target. Only a bit of gun damage there on the MiG-23BN, and it will get out alive. F-16 not quite fast enough to catch that. So, in the end, a nice victory here again for Barkas. ATGM flying towards the Cheetah. Cheetah disengaging. Situation here once more under control for Barkas, and yeah, Waterman maybe just has to get a bit better focus, and the M110 on the battlefield, so can start maybe dismantling the center fortress here as well, but the +2 is going to be annoying.
Yeah, the M110 has not been firing as much as it should have. I think it's just kind of been... the game has been too frantic, and I think Waterman has forgotten it. Down south, the Pruskomnitsi managed to miss its AT weapons, so now a Pratt with 1,600 MG ammo left is trying to pursue this recon team. 2 NatRes squads are moving into Contest Charlie, and with no significant infantry reinforcements moving in, they might actually be able to capture this. The strength of the 1st Tankoba right now is in having tanks just right behind the front lines down south. Most of their infantry and the BMPs are further up north, which I think is good because Dutch infantry will lose to Czechoslovak infantry. Czechoslovak infantry has just better stats in general, better anti-infantry stats, that is. But yeah, there should be just a little bit more on defense here. And as I say that, BMP2 does get ordered to move in there, maybe not to defend, but at least to recapture the position.
Yeah, M113A1 here, figuring out that the Pruskomnitsi come around in the southern flank as well. Leo 2A4C stays relatively far behind. M110 does now fire, is aiming for the T-72s on the reload position. Did get 2 damage against the AA, but not quite get a kill. As the Cheetah not saving the Panzer infantry against the MiG-23. MiG-23 gets damaged, but not killed. So northern situation here currently getting pushed by the red side. Leo not repaired, so it has to be really careful. But currently at least dismantling one Motorstrel C team there. There's new recon infantry and Leo 1s coming in. But the northern flank actually now under a lot of danger. SVO pushing with this all again as well. No T-72 with this, so Barkas is not as heavy as they would want to be.
The supply getting destroyed, but only right after the T-72s moved away from the kill zone. So little bit of a consolation prize for the M110 artillery strike. With two BMPs out there, there is more than enough actual firepower to contest most of the southern region. And the Leopard 2A4C is superior to the tanks it's facing, but it's so numerically inferior that it cannot actually engage this. And currently having that top tier MBT just on a defensive position, not really doing anything, is a significant weakness for what a man's fighting line. Like that tank, in my opinion, should just try to move immediately up north and get into the fight. It cannot actually capture back Delta anymore. Not without support equipment.
Tulipan here now going after the TOW 2 on the hill. The Motostreltsys got into the forest, but they don't really have the support they really want there right now. Planes trading there. MiG-23ML goes down, but F-16 goes down on the other side as well. So fair trade on both sides. Both sides artillery now starting to take some good shots as well. Motostreltsy getting shots out against the YPR, but the YPR is seemingly surviving there. MR10 might want to help out with that as well. And maybe it's even time for the second one, as the blue Nantres get into the southern forest, but two Mi-24s there and no AA to help them, so without an F-16 they are pretty doomed. Currently no F-16 out there for them, so likely Barkas will hold out to the southern points here for the moment as well.
Yeah, up north, the T-72's got a great engagements against the reinforcements, destroying a YPR. Meanwhile, the SVO punished some of the forces trying to push on the open range. The basic issue here for one man is that basically every tank engagement has been 1v2, and the T-72s have slower rate of fire, and that especially the E2 variants have quite bad armor. But this is oh no, there's a side shot going. Side shot missing the Leopard 2A4C from the Fagot. As I said, I wanted to see that Leopard 2A4C go up north, but it went around the area fire controlled by the Citadel. Now a Fagot getting a second shot and actually managing to route that tank.
Cluster nearly killing the next Leo 2. Once more leaving it on one hit point in the north as well. Situation here really critical for What a Man right now, but all the units are still alive for now. MiG-23 coming in with another HE bombing run here for the Leo 2A4, leaving it barely alive as well. Cheetah and Stinger getting a bit of retaliation, but not a kill. But this once more means that What a Man will need some more time to get anywhere close here. F-16 finally coming in for the Heinz in the south, taking out the first one, taking out the second one. Both Heinz down. This is big. This means the Nantres with the MR13s and the YPR might have a shot of holding this. Panzer Infantry leader there coming in as well. The MR10 not being resupplied right now. That's a big mistake. And the SVO taking out all the blue infantry in the north as the mini Buratino does its job, murdering all of that Panzer Infantry.
Yeah, that OSA should have been just closer to the front line. There was no reason for it to just hang around that safely, and it could have maybe intercepted the enemy. But what is done is done. Currently, the Veritel Motosteltsu and the Motosteltsi are actually doing good work against the Natres. They are upwetting each other, and with the BMP-2 giving the mechanized infantry trait, giving a significant reducial of incoming suppression for the Motosteltsu, and with a cluster plane coming in here, removing that TOW 2 launcher. And
cluster retaliating in the north though. T-72S on the flank there, taken out. So both sides here getting some good damage on each side's flank. Ooh, F5HE coming in as well. Will likely take out the CV. Veritel Motosteltsu down, and the Panzer Infantry leader just made it in. So nice victory here for What a Man.
Yeah, a big weakness for What a Man here is that the iHawk has been unreloaded for some time. There is no supply for it. If you zoom far away and you have the truck and the iHawk next to each other, you don't get the the pop-up to show you that your weapon doesn't have ammunition. And I think that's just a little bit of a detail that has punished What a Man here for a moment. But fortunately, the MiG-23 bombers are not that overpowering. They are cheap enough and they're fast enough, and the bomb loads are decent, but they haven't been able to actually finish off those tanks as badly as they could have.
Yeah, and the MR10 here just reloaded a slight bit, has 3 shots again, is going to need more supply as well. And currently, is there a supply truck coming in for it? There is a supply truck coming in now for the iHawk. There's none coming in for the MR10, and that is a mistake because the MR10 really one of the most efficient units here on the side of What a Man so far in this game. Might even get himself a T-72 here now. Ooh, good damage, but not quite the direct hit just yet. Final shot, can it do the job? It kills the Osa next to it, the T-72 it was aiming at. And that's still a good kill. T-72's there, still pretty wounded. Leo 2A4C now, takes out the BMP-2 first shot. T-72 has to be careful. But issue for the blue side is currently a lack of recon and a lack of infantry. And Leo 2s are not great in that kind of an environment because of their fragile side armor. And the Fagot coming in and getting a side shot against the Leo 2A4, stunning it down. It is in... Oh no, its engine got destroyed! MiG-23 here coming around, and the T-72 finishes off the job. Leo 2A4C going down here. This game number 2 once more. Not looking great for our player in blue. Not killing the BMP leader in the south as it lost line of sight there with the F5 Freedom Fighter. The Panzer Infantry there in trouble as well. And it seems like Barkas might be on a good way to a second win here now, as the northern situation pretty stable, and that he could hold the center all game through was a really, really big issue for the blue side, as they never could maneuver with the Leos as much as they wanted to.
Yeah, it's the Citadel play was quite nice, especially not just in cutting off or making it difficult to hold and reinforce Bravo, but also just surprisingly contesting the south more aggressively, so that even when have been a bunch of reinforcements, as we can see, a bunch of Panzer Infantry, a lot of YPR, PRIs up north, the engagements up north have still been relatively low intensity, with basically the counterattacks from the blue side being countered by largely by the SVO. Most of the points here for the Czechoslovaks have been going into airplanes and artillery strikes to punish the attacks instead of actually grinding down in those fights. And early on, when tank fights were happening, when the Leopard 2s were being more aggressive, the Barca was making sure that those tank fights always happened on their terms, under cover of the Fagot missiles, under cover of BMPs, and 2v1 with a bunch of high-vet T-72s. And especially the kind of the dice roll of daring to play with so many up-vetted tanks instead of just relying on the fact that you get numbers. That's a big choice. That's a big deal. Most of the time, especially if you're playing ranked, you don't want to have this kind of a composition because you don't know who you're playing against. And the veterancy differences are not that massive. From veterancy 1 to 2 to 3 are not that massive to actually benefit you in most cases. From veterancy 0 to 1, that is a huge step. I just want to make this clear.
Yeah, Panzer Infantry and YPRs here pushing in a bit too uncoordinated here, and that all is not working out, especially as the reinforcements of Barkas arrive at the same time. Leo 2A4 did help out, at least taking out one T-72, but all the other mechanized infantry units here, or mechanized vehicles of What a Man, have gone down already. So only 2 infantry units and a Leo 2 and a Dream, and the MiG-23 just keep on coming. They are one of the most cost-efficient bombers they are right now, thanks to the latest changes. One of them gets shut down, but the Leo 2 once more combat inefficient. Panzer Infantry all down, and the situation in the north is not great. +4 is going on, and we might see the end of this. Leo 1 in the south goes down as well, so no angle there either. And yeah, it's just that What a Man always got kept off just getting the full combined arms onto the board, as it is a bit expensive for 4th Division, thanks to the Leos, thanks to MR10s being a bit extra. And that never quite worked out. In the end, KD actually pretty close, but the first Tankova just gets it a bit cheaper, and Barca's now on a good way here, on a match point already, and Waterman really has to find maybe a bit of a better way to navigate the first 5 to 10 minutes, because outside of that, their micro here is on par with their opponent, but they just not quite get the positions they need to get a fully stable game here.
Yeah, so far we've seen two standard aggro from some of the most powerful divisions in the game on maps that absolutely fit those playstyles. And in both cases, we've seen a packed kind of counter aggro coming in. They basically designed right around the expected normal openers of fourth and second. I for one, and I'm quite impressed by Barca here. Like this, there needs to be some kind of movement away from the mean, away from the expected for what a man here, because it seems like they're just they have been outstudied here. There is too much creativity. There is too much knowledge of specific unit interactions and specific ways that units and divisions in this game can outperform on those soft factors, not necessarily the hard factors.
Yeah, really job well done by Barkas with these openers, and really shows you that this guy has been forged by a lot of ranked gameplay, because in ranked, openers are even more important than in league, because you never know what the enemy can bring, and sometimes in a lot of matchups, the late game won't go out well for you, so you have to get it with the opener, and yeah, those openers have been really done really well here, so let's see if Waterman can find a solution, or if Bakas will get a clean 3-0 here. Quick break, guys, and then we're going to be back with map number 3, so yeah, quick rest, and then we will have more action coming your way. So here we return. Baka's up 2-0, and for the first time now, we have a swap in factions, as we have the Pact player now coming in as Waterman, whilst Baka's switching over to the NATO side of things and switching over to an interesting division. Fourth Armored now coming around here with a decent amount of chieftains here. Chieftain Mark 6s, nonetheless. Whilst on the other side, we have the 56 VDV, a division that, if it can get the opener in this matchup, and if it can start to get the take online, will be really hard to beat. But I believe 4th Armored has the pushing power in the early stages to get the take itself, and then pushing into all of those chieftains with BMP2s and T62s is not going to be fun. So Waterman this time has to nail the opener if they want to keep their tournament life going on here.
Yeah, so this is in Chloride's law of competitive counterpicking. You basically want, most of the time, you want to have a division that is slightly more aggressive or just slightly heavier than your opponent's division. So going against 56th, a very fast, very aggressive mechanized infantry division, going against it with a heavy tank division probably leaves you really open to a lot of infantry aggro, a lot of helicopter aggro, a lot of problems. So why don't you go and you try out a medium older generation tank division, the kind of tank division that gets laughed behind the backs by other actual tank divisions, the kind of tank division that is maybe reliant on doing recon aggro with its up-vetted motorized scouts units, which are quite strong eight-man infantry units. The fourth tank here, fourth armored here, might actually be a excellent counter, considering it doesn't seem like Barca is interested in contesting Boris. Boris being kind of the landing zone in here. Instead, we are seeing a second, relatively standard, powerful counter tactic, which is the highway to hell strategy, where you just try to go from Fedor to Dmitry. You control the crossroads in the middle, giving you the potential to threaten both the north zone of Gregory and the south zone of Center. And with you having tanks, especially numbers of tanks, and potentially good recon as well, you basically get the early game where you can just pick off the enemy and secure yourself a winning position where the enemy is going to have to spend their mechanized units instead of attacking, or instead of defending, they're going to have to spend them attacking. You have the Centurion AVREs, those cheap anti-infantry specialized tanks. You have some autocannon equipped Fox recon units to do fire support, and you have a very nice variety of recon, both in Gazelle deployed the scouts units, snipers, and then the fighting recon of the motorized scouts. And this really seems like, I mean, it is an all-in. It's not the most risky all-in, but this absolutely is an all-in. And I just want to say for the record, if Barca trades badly early on, 56th will be able to run over this. But I think it's quite unlikely that they're going to trade badly early on.
Yeah, this is taking the high road here, avoiding the conflict, the classic Boris engagement, and just taking the high road, try to run into the enemy point and trying to throw the enemy off guard, maybe finding a flank into center from there. Even if not, with Dimitri and Gregory, you can still get a +1 take on the enemy. So, really interesting opener here. 2 dark fires coming in as with really aggressive deployment there into the middle crossroad section as well. Well, it's the Foxes here and the motorized scouts should be able to overwhelm the Plamia and the Fagot relatively easily. And yeah, easy capture here for Waterman in the south. The issue is, where do you go from that? If you can get into Eleanor with some good movement, that can play out nicely as well, but it's really risky to move out of Boris in towards the enemy.
Yeah, and there is the standard one tank defense, the one chieftain with one Milan, one basically doing long range defenses here. And even if you can fight through those units, oh, the Milan actually getting taken out by the AGS 17, getting a perfect shot there. But yeah, just even if you can push through that, it's going to take time. And during that time, you really want to be spending your points to counter the enemy. Actual enemy attack. So Elena probably kind of inherently safe for the most time here.
Yeah, and the bomber here, the Phantom, getting shot down on the way out. It did get a good bombing run, but getting killed on the way out, that's a big victory here. The Spetsnaz JRU Stinger is doing their job once more. Bad turn here for Bakars, should have turned to the north, and ooh, the Mi-24P might have been the perfect buy. The Darkfire's unloaded already, so Bakars can't use them as anti-helicopter. If he would have waited a bit with the unload there, if he would have moved them further forward, the Mi-24 would be something that you can handle with them. They are really good against helicopters as well. Good range, great accuracy. But they are not being used, and that gives this Mi-24 all the room in the world. And you said, yeah, it would be unlikely that he gets bad trades here. But currently, it is pretty bad trades. The Fox gets taken out in the south as well. And Waterman is actually pushing in pretty deep. The first game in which Waterman's opener here looks relatively solid. Though the Mi-24P has to be careful there. Now the Darkfire in range, but it can get out of line of sight there. And yeah, the north not solidified by Waterman at all, but the helicopters keep the enemy occupied. And he actually can move towards Elena, and that is a real big danger for Barkas right now.
Yeah, the limited pushing here with those screening AGS-17 cars followed up by BNP and T-62, this is just enough to be a huge problem, but not enough to be a huge loss if these units are all countered. The Lynx Chancellor should spot this right now, but it's going to take a second for counter units to come by. Most likely, I would say, just Lynx ATGMs are going to try to cover Elena. And the Belozor, the leader, is going to take a second to actually move in there. But this right now is the worst spot for Barkas to try to hold still. The Darkfire should be taking risks, just moving forwards to try to drive off or kill those gunships. And the motorized scouts units that have been kind of paralyzed by that infantry fighting are not in a position to take new recon spots.
Yeah, and at the same time, the Chieftain Mark 6 in the south also moved out, got killed by the Conquerors. So T-62 there without a challenge right now. And the tanks keep on pushing forward. Supply truck is not right there for the Stingers, Spetsnaz. So helicopter could be a pretty good hold. The Lynx is coming in, but at the same time, Sultan goes down in the north. Mi-24V got good damage, and the Darkfire doesn't get a hit. Phantoms are terrible at dealing with helicopters as they don't have any guns. And oh no, the Darkfire gets killed off by a MiG-27 rocket run. The MiG-27K 8 heat that has a couple of rockets killing off the Darkfire together with the Motorrad Zvezda does survive here in return, and the Spetsnaz GRU nearly getting the kill on the Phantom even on the way out. This is looking really, really rough for Barkas right now. They really need to start stabilizing, but fourth, usually a division that wants to go out with its momentum, and this momentum currently is fully derailed right now. But on the other side, we have one of the best defensive divisions in the game, and it is on a slight point lead, but especially if it gets a take on in Elena, there is going to be a big issue for Barkas here.
Yeah, the Hell Arm is in a nice position up northeast to fire at max range against anything that comes over that ridge. Chieftain Mark 6 also in that position. So even though this is problematic, the points have been spent properly here, I think, to prevent this from becoming a catastrophe. But meanwhile, those points, no matter how properly they have been spent, are not currently holding the very wide flank of the highway to hell. And only these two half-strength motorized scout squads actually holding Dimitri with some recon support. ATGMs, tanks, all of them have been taken out. Those chieftains really want to be racing towards at least around the crossroads so that this position can be held. But chieftains are slow, and they are not the most efficient against infantry. So they're gonna take their time here, trying to secure this area. And a bunch of infantry terriers are being ordered here, but they are not going into the position to actually protect the crossroads and protect Fedor. After this, Lua's AGS-17 is now driven into the crossroads, revealing that this is safe ground, that what a man can start counterattacking northeast and completely counterplay, completely just bypass the fact that the enemy all in.
Yeah, and the lack of anti-helicopter here being abused by another Mi-24 push forward. Foxtrot, Fox under fire there at Elena. The Mi-24P here keeps moving in. British issue of lacking any gun-based AA once more showing up in force here. Sultan now moving towards Gregory, but the +1 here is going on. Phantom desperately trying to do the job, but not quite achieving it. That's why you usually use Jaguar rockets in that deck, just as anti-helicopter, more so than actual rocket planes, because they actually have guns and Sidewinder missiles to deal with helicopters, whilst your Phantoms just don't get that luxury. They get the MiG-23 killed here, but one Phantom goes down at the same time. Mi-24P here still alive. It's routed, but Fox goes down, and oh no, yeah, both Phantoms actually biting the dust here. MiG-23 MLD. And the Stinger Specialist
No,
here,
the Terriers.
Oh no, the BMP2 is just shredding through all of them there. Oh, this is just not looking good right now for the 4th Armored. Mi-24P needs to get out of there. It's currently flying a bit too aggressively. But the situation here, in general, really good for What a Man. Phantom misses another shot. And the Mi-24P here gets out into the action again. T-62 still in a pretty aggressive position there. Kill on the Chieftain Mark 9 again by the Mi-24. Cocon missiles here, pretty good. Chancellor will go down as the GRU Stingers getting reloaded. The northern situation looking pretty terrible as the Bellejour now moves on towards Gregory, will move towards Feodor. And yeah, I'm not quite sure how 4th Armored is supposed to stabilize this right now, as they don't have the air control, they don't really have a cohesive tank force with recon right now, and the anti-helicopter situation is just absolutely abysmal right now.
Yeah, I guess it's just at this point you try to transition into an armored division gameplay. You get the combined arms out, you get the mechanized forces out, you start sending in cheap scouts and cheap terriers to recon these forests with the fire support force of chieftains. But the enemy has already managed to build up a wide front line of both good and bad ATGMs, both the bastions on the tanks, the cocons on the helicopters, as well as the fagots and the conqueresses. Everything is out here, and the front line, the concaves have already been built. Yeah, and losing another Phantom.
Yeah, and the Phantom HE here wasn't quite up there to support. It has a good bomb load and it has air-to-air missiles. If it would have flown right next to the other Phantom, likely would have gotten the kill there. But that wasn't achieved. We have a push through the center, but there are enough annoying ATGM vehicles all around. That's what 56 wants to play like. They want you to be in a desperation mode. They want you to push into them. And then the Fagot, the T-62s with their fast flying missiles, and the BMP2s can just open up with ATGMs from all sides. Helicopters can fly in. MiG-27s can exploit that you don't have any AA. And yeah, this is just going to be a lot of pain to maneuver through as 4th, and you will need to get a lot of individual kills left and right to start to bring that back, but it's going to be really tough at this position to actually achieve that. Rifle leader,
yeah, the middle attack, the Terriers. The middle attack with Terriers is just going into exactly the wrong place. They're attacking the enemy center. Did you not learn anything from the movie Braveheart? You don't cover your center with militia unless you have what's the anti-Semitic guy's name? The actor, whatever, the Catholic psycho. Unless you have Mel Gibson, you don't cover your center with militia. Should have learned this in the 90s.
Yeah, and Mi-8 MT escorting here, getting some fire out in the north. Assault Pioneers going down, Milan ones going down as well, MiG-27K AT ones flying around there as well. So all the fire support is there, and the blue side just not having a good time here as the British center here and not holding the line. So Chieftain Mark 9 coming around, Drake Trap here, finally getting in here as a bit of AA, but the situation here is a bit late. The Mi-24s already have stopped all of this, and now there's just way too many ATGMs for armored units to maneuver through, and there's no artillery, there's no fire support, there's not a lot of recon here. The point balance on the battlefield is just too different, and if you don't have a snowball going on against 56, 56 can take the attritional warfare to the maximum. They are the perfect division of getting combined arms each tick, each minute, by having the BMPs, by having relatively cheap AA, by having decent cheap artillery with the Nonas, and good recon infantry all around. And you just won't catch up with that. Afghansis will hold the flanks as well. Oh, even Tractor here is getting hunted down by recon infantry here in the rear. The situation is just turning from bad to worse here right now, and Bacchus really will not get the easy 3-0 here most likely, as this situation is not stabilizing at all right now.
Yes, and let us not forget the free veterancy 1 buff that they get with 56th, with no debuff into availability. So 0 vet availability with veterancy 1 bonuses. Very, very, very powerful, and especially combined with the fact that this division is designed to keep up infantry aggro. And in those kinds of conditions, your units having the extra stress recovery and stress resistance is quite important.
Yeah, ATGM now coming in, finishing off another chieftain. The lack of phantoms in the sky is a big issue here. The final phantom trying to go for the Mi-8 here in the north, getting the kill there. MiG-27 actually trying to come in for the kill there with the guns, and he might actually even achieve that as it gets really close. Oh no, MiG-27 there getting the kill against the Phantom. Phantom HE coming around, getting the kill against the MiG-23 AA, but one more escort is still around here, pushing the tractor up here now, and trying to just gun that down, whilst infantry coming in forward as well. So Gregory will fall here in a second as well. Theodore is completely open. There's only a bit of a pocket around Elena right now, but it doesn't have any maneuverability around it. Doesn't have any real potential for breakout, and that is a real big issue here right now. The ATGM setup all around it in a concave is exactly what you want as 56. Really solid 56 gameplay here from What a Man. Abusing the couple of weaknesses of the British line, and both chieftains dying to side shots here from the Mi-24P. This is just the cherry on top of it all, and yeah, Baka's still desperately trying to cling on to this, but this game is not going anywhere for a player in blue right now.
Yeah, What a Man doing that back attack exactly like by the book, exactly as you're supposed to, not risking the core defenses of the forces, but just moving them one tree line forwards first with the recon units, following that up with those mech units, and then moving into the next tree line and the next tree line, and not taking away resources from the actual fight of contesting the enemy, but using those kind of units that didn't have a purpose when the enemy didn't challenge Boris, using those units to apply pressure, exactly what you were supposed to do. And it worked so well. The kind of panic that Barkas went to, and even if it's not a panic, the just having to spend all of those forces and all of that momentum in not reinforcing the forces that were trying to win the game, but instead just preventing defeat, completely froze Fourth Armored, and they haven't been able to really do anything since. The Mi-24Ps are quite nice. I think you're correct about the lack of Jaguars. The Phantoms with the guns are also the ones with the bombs. and the long range missiles. So they are very inefficient in dealing with the gunships here. We didn't see javelins. We didn't really see proper amounts of javelin or LMLs or tractor pierce. So, and this was exploited by 56th. And the only real difference between 4th Armored being just a mediocre infantry division is their ability to spam out those older generation tanks, but those older generation tanks are completely vulnerable to the Kokon missiles and basically every missile that 56 has. Every missile in the game, really.
Yeah, Saxons here under fire. And yeah, if you don't get a good umbrella of support around those chieftains to really get them into the push position where they can just open up fire on the enemy, they are in a lot of trouble here. And all the FE 432 Milans here now going down as well. One BMP2 finally gets eaten, but it's a +1 here nonetheless. And finally, it seems like Waterman figures out how little there is in Theodore, so the CV should get in there in a second as well. Center gets retaken as 2 here. Baka doesn't seem to be one to give up easily, so they are clinging on to this, but they only have a single tank here on the battlefield right now. They don't really have enough AA to get a kill. The loss of the Darkfires early on really, really rough, especially as they didn't really achieve anything before going down. And the single chieftain here without recon is in a really bad spot in the center area right now.
Yeah, the Shokanor was necessary. At this point, no matter how many Conqueror's missiles Conqueror's missiles the artillery destroys, no matter what the mortars can actually block here, the 56 is just way too powerful here. You kind of need your gimmick to work out. And with fourth armored, it's not really a gimmick. It just is the early game strategy, the having that moment, that window where you have such a huge overpowering fire supremacy, especially with those AVRE roamers and all of those strong, good recon units. And if you just don't have that, the division with better fundamentals is going to keep buying helicopters and T-62s at you.
Yeah, and the artillery here not doing the job. Strikers now trying to come in, but there are so many T-62s coming in. The Mi-24 even killing out the Darkfire here, as it was out of ammo. MiG-27 coming around for the Roamer, getting the kill there as well. We have a +5 situation here right now. That's not something that we see that often on this map, and really only Elena last point here, last little bastion, but there are no units left here for Bakas to play with. Sniper holding the line here in the north, but BTR-70 about to push over it as well. Rifle leader does have a loss that can deal to BTR-70, but if there's any more pressure once more pushed up against Fyodor, that point will fall again. Darkfire's really not achieving anything this game, and Assault Pioneer Carl Gustav's here trying to come in, but the northern highway push just fell apart to great helicopter play on the side of Waterman, and we are really seeing Bakas being dismantled in this game right now.
Yeah, and it's nice to see after those first 2 games that Waterman can basically kind of Waterman obviously has the game sense to understand what was going on, and considering that the safer picks of 2nd Panzergrenadier, 4th Divisie, and now 56th VDV or Deshantova VDV, Deshantovsturmovaya Brigada, that the safe picks here are not just like compensating for lack of standard skills in WARNO, but indeed you get the right moment, and Waterman looks completely overpowering here.
Ooh, Phantom barely gets out alive there. One of Gunsy goes down, Tractor Pierre trying to shoot down the Mi-8 MT Escorty. Desperately trying to get a hit there, fails to do so as the helicopter gets out of range again. And yeah, without recon, without combined arms, without the fire support of the roamers and so on to just shoot down enemy HGM units immediately as they pop up, you're not gonna win this game. And I feel like Baka's never quite got an idea of how to bring it back after the first 3-4 minutes fell apart. They were just sending in decent units here and there, but they never really seemed to have an idea of what to actually do once the first couple of dominoes started falling, and it just cascaded into what we have in front of us here now. The custom HE mortar even coming around here against the track repair. MiG-27Ks continuously dealing more damage here. +3 still going on. Baka's still trying to stay in the game. MiG-27 actually goes down here, but UCV moves in the north, gets a +4 up, 2 minutes 42 seconds, and we're not going to see much more than this of this game.
Yeah, we see an wounded Escortney moving into the track repair and destroying it with rockets, realizing that one had ran out of ammunition. So kind of a baller move from the Escortney pilot. And but yeah, I'd say that these kinds of situations where your early, even your slightly risky early game doesn't work out, these are the golden opportunities for 56th. 56th might be one of the best divisions in counterattacking and punishing an enemy for failing to do an opener. And their tools, their AT planes, their very strong close quarters infantry, their massed ATGM forces, their helicopters, and of course, their Stinger-equipped recon units, which have been performing really well in especially taking away all the enemy phantoms. All of these punish the enemy for not paying attention and give you the ability to just kind of be mega annoying with singular small 4-man infantry squads or little 40-point fagot cars.
Ooh, cluster bomber getting a decent hit on the Okranas, but yeah, it's all not mattering a lot here right now. MiG-23 coming around again, 1 minute 32. It seems like Baka's at least keeps Theodore safe right now, but they're now, even if Baka's would get back the initiative, they still would have to grind through all of the incoming units of What a Man each minute. So getting to 1,840 points at this point would be impossible anyways against the 56 that even just keeps buying units and deploys them. They don't even really have to micro them, just put them onto the battlefield. And yeah, Sultan here trying to come in towards Gregory, but even that wouldn't stop the tick. Even that would still leave it as a +1, and we're only 55 seconds away here from victory. Baka's really seeming to be one to fight it out until the end, but this one here is not theirs. And What a Man really starting to make it a series here and showing how strong their game sense is, and also maybe indicating that 4th Armored not the perfect pick for this matchup.
Yeah, I would say the 4th Armor would have maybe been a successful pick and a great counter pick had the opener been done differently in a few different factors. Maybe instead of having a chieftain hold the ground around Elena, you would have a striker unit. Maybe the recon defenses should have been a little bit further back. Maybe there should have been a more javelins bought out with so that they could actually move with the infantry, the recon infantry in the front line. But with all of these ifs and buts, 56th and What a Man completely ruining the enemy. And just look at that Mi-24P kill count here. I think that really does tell you the story.
Yeah, really, really well done job here by What a Man. And the game here for Baka's not the finest, as they just never really found a foothold. But it's also still tough against 56 when you feel the pressure as 4th and then just try to keep up the pressure. But there would have been a need for a second of just taking the foot off the gas and trying to resettle the front line and regain the armored push potential, but they never stopped and just overextended into the ATGMs, into the firepower of 56 defensive forces, and with that, a really well done job here by WARNO taking the initiative in the south and keeping the series alive, getting us to a game 4, and Baka's still on match ball here, but WARNO showing that they have some fight on them and that they are absolutely up to take Baka's in a game here. So let's see if Baka's can finish it out in the second attempt, or if WARNO is getting us to the final decider match. Quick break, guys, and then we're going to be back with game number 4. So here we return, game number 4, and WARNO has shown us now that they can do it, and it's another map that favors aggressive plays, so it's going to be interesting to see what we see out of Baka's, because they have been the one with the interesting pushes so far. It seems to be another one of those here with a division that is not known for pushes at all, and that maybe is what they try to get the enemy thrown off the game with, as we have second guards mechanized on the left side here, or motorized rather, motostrelki, and on the right side we have Baka's coming around with 24th US Infantry Division, a division that we don't see all that often, and that we, when we see it, usually see it as a more defensive gameplay with all the Bradleys, but no Bradleys here whatsoever. Instead of we have some old little choppers, the good old reliable UH-1H Huey, and a couple of National Guard Abrams here showing up in force. So what do we have to prepare ourselves here for?
Yeah, so the NG Abrams, the heaviest tank that you get with 24 is the M1 IP, the improved protection one. So 105 gun with the M1A1 armor, but and speed also. But you also get the cheaper reservist standard modeled NG M1s, and very rarely do we actually, or very rarely is it proper gameplay to open up with the cheaper ones. You generally want to have the good ones out there to take shots and to survive. The stress damage, the stress resistance of these reservist tanks is significantly worsened, and because they are zero vet, their stress recovery is also very slow. But if the 24th player's strategy is what I think it is, this is going to be about building up the discount version of an American fire support force. The strength of the M1s is that you get a bunch of machine guns, you get a 50 cal and two medium machine guns. And the weakness of Second Tamanskaya is that basically everything is just slightly more expensive with the Resolute, uh, the Resolute buff in the guards units, and a lot of the, especially the vehicles, the tanks are very expensive. Very expensive. You get a mix of certain T64 variants, T72 variants, and then a few super heavy T80s, like the even better ones than what you get with the 119th. And every game against Second Tamanskaya is basically a race against the deployment of the T80s. If you don't get stuff done early on, if you allow the enemy to get a standard mechanized defense, you're going to be outscaled. Their ability to bring out great fighters, not the Su-27s, but they get the upgraded MiG-29s, as well as a lot of OSAs, means that you can't necessarily reliably on the long term deal with the T80 UDs. Now, 24th does have one or specifically two aces up its sleeve. It has the National Guard's Apache and the F-15E Strike Eagle with the LGB bombs. And those are the hard counters in the end if the T-80 UDs manage to get out there on the board. But the 24th is going to have to try to use its limited aggro potential and hopefully kind of not get into too much of an infantry grind, because that is where the Gvardates and the BTR and BMP fire support can really start to shine.
Yeah, and the UE support attack here, trying to ride in towards the front line, is going to be pretty interesting. It's only slightly faster than the recon deployment on the other side, as the UE is a relatively slow helicopter, only going at 180 km each speed. So just barely arriving in time here, as the Phantom tried to protect them. And we have a Napalm Phantom coming around from the get-go here as well, trying to get a kill here against Special Red Guard, trying to build away enemy cover from the get-go here as well, and the bombs do hit, so the Special Red Guard there having to leave the building, but the bombs, yeah, not really perfectly on target. A lot of stress damage there. Oh, Conqueror's there, moving in and just driving directly right into it. Oh, just barely not going down. BRDM Conqueror is going down into the aircraft troopers in the north, though. UI's currently being used as fire support, but we have a Bruiser here coming in, so they can't stay around for long. They should just disengage and be sold in a second here. Well, yeah, 3 of them already going down. Aircraft troopers in the north not really getting the damage in that they wanted to. So, situation here relatively under control by Waterman, losing 4 of the UIs here instead of getting them sold. It's a bit of an issue already for the Barkas as well. Has gotten decent control over the south and will need to get the M1 Abrams there into the action in the center to really get any value out of this push. But Currently, the Abrams not really ready to engage just yet. Killing off some producers, killing off some BMP2s, that really could swing the situation here in the center. Currently, the situation looking relatively stable for the player in red.
Yeah, the fire support force of the NG Abrams and the 7.62 machine guns is still pretty potent, so the infantry attacks here should be at least stalled from by the blue player. OBMP2 getting fired upon by the NG Abrams now, but just a single miss by the Conquest missile, and the National Guard's tank is already on low cohesion. These are the weaknesses. They can't deal with even incoming fire. The fire doesn't even have to penetrate. Second weakness here, the aircraft troopers are really not performing well. At 0 veterancy, their 9-man, 2 machine gun force is not enough firepower and actually not enough stick-to-itiveness.
And the first National Guard Abrams here gets hit by the Guadizzi in the BMP that went to the north, getting rear shots there, and that is killing the first one, and that means the center push here currently not really working out. And we have once more a +3 for our player in red, as Bacchus coming in with CVs a bit slower than other players, starting to invest into that opener here, and no, losing the second National Guard Abrams as well, as it drove away without using rear, so it showed its rear armor to the enemy and just got 2 AT launchers right into that. And with that, we have no tanks here anymore for the blue side, and we have nearly no infantry left in the middle either. At least a kill on the producer, but the situation in the center is absolutely dire. And yeah, losing both National Guard Abrams is not something that you can allow to let happen. And I'm really surprised that we saw them coming in with the National Guard Abrams, because National Guard Abrams are usually only decent as support and more on the defensive side of things. Using them aggressively when you have M1 IPs in the deck as well is really a bit odd to me, especially as M1 IPs after the latest price buff are in a pretty decent cost efficiency point. So yeah, really, I feel like they would have done a good bit better job here, though situation would still not have been great with how the infantry fights went so far.
Yeah, it's the double whammy of relying on 0-vet infantry, which can be even the standard Guardezzi unit. Guardezzi BMP is 7-man with a single machine gun, and it can be for even with the Resolute traits, you can beat that with 9-man and 2 machine guns. If those 9-man and 2 machine guns don't immediately lose their fire rate and accuracy with the cohesion. Like the center here is a especially perilous environment for a 24th player that doesn't have any engineers out and only has 0-vet infantry, because the firepower of 24th infantry comes in from massed Bradleys and Abramses.
Oh no, Apache immediately gets sent down by an OSA. Apache immediately goes down, and Bradley goes down as well. Ooh, this is not looking good here right now for Bacchus, as the Northern Aircraft Troopers get pushed out as well. A couple of M150s they're coming in, but that's not great M150 territory either. This is looking like Waterman is really on a good way here to game number 5. Bacchus just not finding their footing in this game at all, and that shows you the risks of being so centered around aggressive openers. If they start to fall apart, you often end up in shambles.
Yeah, I believe, what was I correct? Oh, no, yeah, no, this was 24th did pick the map, and the Tamanskaya was the counter pick here. And yeah, I think this was Tamanskaya just a little bit too solid, especially the T-72B1 OBR 84 is a perfect counter unit to the, like both the Abramses, both the IPs, and the IP Protoss, it is coming in at 0 veterancy. No, you need to balance out the veterancy. You already have the NG, you already have the extra availability for those reservist tanks. You don't also want to have your better tanks be at 0 veterancy. alas, I feel like 24th Infantry is not playing to its strengths right now, and its strengths are when I do Bradley all-ins and nobody suspects them. Okay.
Yeah, the F4 Phantom here really taking hard damage as well without achieving a kill. The napalm usage here not really making that much sense either, because they really haven't achieved much with those, and they didn't really focus on specific points or anything. So yeah, it's currently even a +1 somehow with the center captured, as there's no CV just here that yet there for what a man, but it's arriving in a second. And yeah, M1 IPs without veterancy, so many units without veterancy, just doesn't make any sense. It's just way too many points in your deck that you will never be able to get out onto the battlefield. Like, never go full on zero vet in your deck. Zero vet is only there to balance out the 2 or 3 vet units that you take in other tabs, so that you still have enough to go through the end of the game. But fully going zero vet means that your cost efficiency just tanks hard, because at zero vet your units are just so much less efficient in combat than one vet units on the other side. So usually you want to go kind of one vet on everything that can possibly get it, and then sometimes take two vet on really important unit and maybe balance it out with a couple of zero vet units on the other side to get that balance. But the balance here is not there. It's all zero vet or one vet if it has to come with one vet, like the helicopters. But nothing here is taken with any extra veterancy, and that doesn't really give you any big amount of flexibility, and it just costs you so much in the actual efficiency of your units. So just don't do it like this, guys.
Yeah, and like think about the air cav troopers here. Like I believe you get 3 per card if you up vet the air cav troopers to high veterancy, the 2 vet. Would it really be so bad that instead of like 5 air cav troopers in the opener, you have 3, but all of those 3 are good enough to just beat an enemy infantry squad in 1-to-1 combat? Like the amount of sustainability you get by being able to like 1v1 those units, and then you get a little bit of time to get your tanks and your fire support out there, and like the immediately like the first line of aggressive defense just folding in infantry combat means that now the attempt to build up these combined arms, build up these, you have these ITOs, you have the tanks, you have the artillery, they don't have the fighting line they need. Like the fire team dragons here and the standard fire teams, whether they come in on Bradleys or not, don't really have to be zero vet either, because you're going to be using the NG fire teams, which are locked into reservist zero veterancy. And having that balance there of having defensive units in these corners, having regular units in these corners, and then having your assault troops in other positions, that is what actually allows a division like 24th to be competitive.
Yeah, F111 cluster here now coming around. Not the best cluster bomber, but with the bomb drop changes, has become a decent one at least. But the situation here on the ground is just so terrible, and the M1 IP here really stressed out and will take forever to recover. We had that topic many times. The stress recovery on zero vet is just abysmal, and if you get stressed out, your tank's combat efficiency just goes to the bottom as well, as you can see here on the stats card right now. The hits here on it not helping out either, but yeah, the situation here is really, really rough for our player in blue, and we have seen Bakas being really, like, playing on till the last game as well, so I would expect this to be a grindy game here once more, but it's just really tough for any mess up that Bakas could possibly exploit here to see come up, as there is not enough like stuff on the
There are
battlefield right
not
now.
enough core combat units. Yeah, not
Yeah.
enough core combat units to fight the core combat units of Tamanskaya. With Tamanskaya bringing out more BMPs, more artillery, more T-72s, and also like having a pretty decent air defense here. The so many points have been invested into airplay with no solid front line that could actually benefit from the airplay.
Yes, and the issue is also that Tamanskaya doesn't have a weakness in the late game that you can just open up. Like they have enough AA, they have enough recon, they have enough air, they have enough tanks, they have enough infantry, so you can't just like try to switch the focus on, okay, I'm just grinding down all their tanks, and in the late game they won't have tanks and we can win the game that way, or they don't have that much infantry, so if we start grinding down and just focusing on killing all the infantry, then we maybe could exploit them in positions later on with just good infantry play. No, the baseline bread and butter divisions like Tamanskaya have exactly that strength, that they don't bring weaknesses like that, and that means that there is really no pressure point that you could use in a situation like this as the 24th here. And 24th, not the division that has a spectacular strength in any way or form that you could try to build up to either. So, yeah, it's a division that is supposed to come through the normal combined arms traits, and those just went terrible. And then the comeback potential is really, really bad here. Barca's obviously knowing they are up 2-1. They were so close to just finishing it off in a clear 3-0. Going to a decider game doesn't feel great, so they will try to play on here, will try to find a potential way or form here, but already 500 points behind, already massively behind in the position on the battlefield, and losing a Napalm Phantom here for a relatively mediocre bombing run once more is not going to assist that. And here comes the big push with the T-72s taking out M150s. OH-58 there stuck as well. M1IP still alive, but so inefficient with its high stress that it will not be able to do anything. Next M1IP without veterans here coming in. And yeah, really the deck building being one of the biggest issues here, I feel like, for Barkas in this one. This 24th deck just doesn't really feel like it has been built in the correct way.
Yeah, I think the could be that they have managed to get that fire support out with that this is the way of trying to fit in with the 7.62 machine gun team meta of just getting mass numbers of tanks, mass numbers of everything. If you're hearing like explosions, don't worry, I am not under attack. Santa Claus is not coming for me, not yet. Local kids are testing out fireworks right outside my window, and somebody's probably going to call the cops in like 20 minutes, so don't worry about it. But yeah, I get the idea here, especially if you have some ranked experience. But the second Tamanskaya's kind of solid, centralized, decisive battle doctrine, where they can use these units, such as the T-72B1, which is 30 points cheaper than the M1IP, but still like has one better penetration and the same armor, so it can just slowly outperform these best units, even if they were at veterancy 1, and these T-72s are even upvetted beyond that. So just great centralized standard infantry combined arms, strong recon with the Spetsnaz Vedka, strong tank play right behind there, not opening with tanks but immediately following up, knowing that this is a slow map. And yeah, it doesn't help that so many points were invested into a front line that just couldn't really hold.
Yes, and the M1s here now trying to come around, trying to deal some damage, but the M1IP never came out of the low cohesion here. The next two M1s on the battlefield here as well, but T-72s fighting a good defensive battle. No real kills here being generated by the blue team. And with air control being fully owned by the red as well. But the OSAS here doing a pretty good job as well. Oh no, F-15 Eagle flying way too deep, getting shut down by the MiG-29 as well. This situation is not looking good for Barkas whatsoever, as the air control with the lack of strike eagles means that you don't really have a shot of taking out the enemy core units here. Bradley's getting into a bad spot. The first one gets shut down. second one, get its engine destroyed, at least gets the kill there. Those guys at least coming in with one vet, but if you take National Guard units, you usually with 24th want to take the other, normal army units at 2 vet, even the Bradleys and so on, to get more cost efficiency out there for the trade of having the cheap expendable units with the National Guard. And yeah, not having any veterans on the M1 IPs is just a really, really big mistake. The combat efficiency of those tanking hard, both now stressed out, both will never get back to zero stats here. And tracks broken there on a National Guard M1, just adding insult to injury. Another Mi-24 coming around. The anti-helicopter is basically non-existent here. One Chaparral pretty far back. Okay, we have a Phantom, we have an OH, so situation actually might work out, but running into OSA fires, no, not even getting the kill there. And the OSA is actually failing to get the first couple of hits, but in the end, kill still gets achieved by the MiG-23 and the fire support from the ground, and another National Guard Abrams going down as well. Barca's desperately trying to go through the center, but they are way too tunnel visioned at this point. They don't have the combined arms to do it. And yeah, Waterman taking their time here, but they are absolutely in the driver's seat in this one.
Yep, so Barkas is sending in a helicopter-borne fire-team leader to try to get into the back point of Ivan, but unfortunately this helicopter might be flying over this Piryusa. Also might not. It really is a little bit of a chance here. But even with that back point taken, that is not going to change the core issue of there being a very powerful combined arms force defending on both long and close ranges, superior on both of them currently. And Waterman also has a significant force up northwest that could just start applying pressure if the middle center ever started faltering.
MiG-21, BIS, AG coming around, trying to get some hit onto the ITO, even killing it off with the gun alone. So no ATGMs here coming in from the side either. The concave once more achieved by Waterman. Barkas once more fighting over bad terrain. And yeah, the game sense here of Barkas in these last two games really not that great once the first couple of engagements have been played out. Like, as I said, I feel like they set themselves up to failure here with the deck already, but the full-on focus on just trying to fight the center here against the slightly heavier, slightly higher quality division on the other side just seemed like a better idea, instead of using their cheaper IFVs, using their cheaper tanks and extra helicopters to try to get some flanks, trying to force the enemy to spread out and maybe overextend outside of the AA range so that you can bomb them as well. That wasn't achieved, and instead we now have good artillery and a really strong position here for Barkas going on, for Waterman going on around the battlefield. So yeah, not looking hot for Barkas right this minute.
It's not hot. It's not hot. We used to have the hottest games ever for Barkas, and then Barkas just went on too extreme, too experimental, moved away from the stuff that worked, which was packed, mechanized, played in a counter-attack fashion, and now with Omen being a map that really doesn't favor that kind of counter-attack playstyle anyways, especially with the very heavily urbanized middle and then long distances between the sides. The 24th to actually win this on the long term, a 24th would have had to do successful infantry aggro in the middle or on the sides, and then try to transition into a very wide defense of Bradleys and of Recon, Bradleys, and other ATGMs. A force of Recon that could spot for the Apaches and the bombers, especially the Strike Eagles. Bradleys to use their missiles on long ranges and autocannons to just prevent incursions. And then a upvetted force of Abramses and leader tanks that could move in to actually fight toe to toe against the heavier tanks, buying time for the ATGMs to do the damage. That's the way it would have gone if everything would have gone perfectly. But unfortunately, none of that is gonna pan out if the infantry aggro doesn't function.
Yeah, and the MiG-21 bis here getting shut down, but red side having control over the forest, red side having a lot of ATGMs, and now also having the TADUs on the battlefield. Like, the M1s with the 150mm, 105mm gun, just even with Veteran C wouldn't be able to do much about it, and without the Veteran C just are completely incapable of achieving success here against these kind of tanks. And ADU here now pushing forward, 21 pen on the gun, 21 frontal armor, 25 penetration on the missile. This situation not looking good for tanks at all. They try to drive out of there again and get hit once more on the way out by T-72s. We still only have the +1. The flank in the south got caught out completely as well, as MiG-23s and MiG-21 trying to protect against the Eagle, getting the Eagle shut down. Mi-24 even still alive, though the aircraft troopers might change that. Wood desperately tries to get away. Aircraft troopers pretty stressed out, so it actually might make it out alive here. Yes, it does. So really nice victory here for Waterman as well. Now hunting the M1s with the TADU. Gunfire coming out. Gets some extra supply. MLRS-HE coming in here, just hitting empty spaces as there's no good recon here. There's no good support. Chaparral goes down as well. And TDU just going in for the infight. Now engaging the M1s, and the M1s can't even penetrate it at this distance, having to push way closer. MiG-21 HE helping out as well. Those Abrams here not looking hot. First one goes down. Second one in trouble here as well. Still can't penetrate. And TADU gets the second kill here too. Just stands on the open field and takes the shots. No strike eagle around, and yeah, this is just GG. The end boss has arrived, and the end boss is taking out the underleveled, undergeared couple of heroes on the other side here, one by one. And Bacchus has to go back, respec his build, and figure out how to actually achieve a success here in a later stage game, in game number 5, or has to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to get an opener like in the first 2 games onto the board, because mid-game here just doesn't seem to be his cup of tea in this matchup.
Yeah, I was wondering about the 24th pick. Interestingly, it was Barkas who banned 8th Infantry, and on Waterman's side, there was only a TKS, a DivMob, and 2nd UK bans. So, like, the American infantry divisions largely not banned outside of 8th. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just that Barkas has had good experiences with this division and this map, but just not enough experiences to understand what the attack actually meant. Because this is like no engagements have gone well here for Barkas at this point. Like none of the strategies have actually worked out, and I feel like this might have been just a attempt to recreate like an 8th US strategy that is played with a division not necessarily designed for that, because the air mobile strike, you get Black Hawks, you get the Rangers, and then you have you get a build-up of M1s. But when you downgrade from from like Special Forces Rangers down to 0 vet aircraft, and from M1A1s to M1 IPs, suddenly it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, and here we have it with more than a 2-to-1 KD here. Waterman really playing the second guards motorized division really well. Second guards Motorstrelki doing a fantastic job here, and Bacchus really has to reconsider what worked in the first 2 games, what didn't work in the last 2, and have to get that opener into a smoother way again to try to make it work, or focus better onto the mid-game part of their divisions. and their builds of those. As Waterman really clawing himself back into this and might be able to get the full reset here and the full reverse sweep going on here. So Bacchus now has brought it all to a decider game here. Game number 5. We're gonna be on a short break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with the decider game. Waterman versus Bacchus here. Division 4 Grand Finals. Don't you run anywhere, guys. We will be back with that final game in a second. So here we go, everybody. Final match of WARNO League Season 5. And the final game of it as well. As no matter who wins here, this will be the final one. And whoever wins it will be coming out as Division 4 champion. As we have blind picks on both sides. No counter picking in this one. Both sides picked their division, and then it got revealed afterwards. And we went with 2 classics. And 2 divisions that got buffed quite a bit lately again. With 79 here on the right side coming in for Bacchus, 79 guards tank core. And on the left side, we have the first British armored division coming around for Waterman on a pretty classic map here with Mount River as well. So that should be a pretty cool one as well. And I'm pretty excited for this matchup as 4th armored First Armored was weaker than 79 for a long time, and likely still is right now, but it was never closer than it is right now between these two in my eyes, as both have good planes and both have pretty solid tanks, with 79 having the higher end slightly with the T80BVs, but there are a couple more cheaper mid-tier tanks on the other side now, with the buffed Chieftain, Mark 9, and Mark 11, and the forward deployment here maybe could play a role as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was paying attention to the forward deployment here, and most of it, especially the Paramilan 2s, are still being deployed relatively conservatively. They're not trying to get any daring do here, just trying to get into those standard positions a little bit earlier. And we have seen First UK be a very powerful division on this map specifically. A lot of its limited forward deployment and a lot of its tanks and its especially the helicopter and airplay work out really nicely here together. You just can't really spend too much into your tank tab. You want to get your Challenger Mark 3s and a few of them, and then a lot of everything else if you want to be playing aggro here. But the problem is that 79th is such an all-around powerful division that it can basically open up attacking anyways, no matter what forward deployment you're doing. So we are not yet seeing not seeing the Gazelles to hunt down the Spetsnaz GRUs, and instead we are seeing a defensive forward deployment with barely any mechanized forces for what a man. And Barkas is opening up with what seems to be developing into a very standard strategy of trying to get into the southern kind of reverse T region, where you can either start pushing into X-ray or try to force the enemy to defend the back point at Oscar. And this basically gives a huge opening for What a Man to get some decent British infantry and start capturing the northern side of the map. But that is a risk that Barkas is willing to take. And with the Spetsnaz GRUs and decent enough helicopter and air assets, I think there is enough in 79th to prevent that from happening too catastrophically.
Yeah, Tornado here from the get-go to try to keep any helicopters in check on the other side, but none of them coming around here. And no tanks whatsoever out of First Armored, no IVs even, so it's all the forward deploy infantry, and then support tools like a couple of MGs, a couple of scimitars, and track trapiers and javelin teams, as the Milan 2 Para in itself gets the first engagement, gets a kill against the Gas supply truck, but the Spetsnaz GRU get out alive and will be able to keep an eye on the Para Milan. So this is a bit of an issue here for Weatherman in the south. The Milan 2 being spotted means that it's a lot easier to deal with for Barkas, though Barkas not having any artillery or so to directly shoot down that unit, so still will have to take it with frontal assault action or just letting it run out of ATGMs, only 3 left, and if you micro that, you can just let that run out. Nice investment here into the Gazelle rocket swarm by Waterman. I like that quite a bit, recognizing that there might be a bit of a weakness there around. SU-25 getting shut down by the Tornado as well. That was supposed to deal with the Milan 2. Nice catch here. Waterman gets the kill there. Tornado barely gets out alive against the Coops. Really nice little victory there. The Milan still goes down in the end. 1 BMP gets taken out though. All the units get stressed out. Rover Milan here on a decent flanking shot, and a bit more time maybe to get reinforcements into the south, though none on the way yet. So that means it looks like Waterman is giving up the south, and that means that they have to take the aggression in the north. They are doing that right now. SS Patrol, Terriers pushing in there. In the center, they have a bit more than the enemy, especially with the Gazelle rockets coming in there as well. So MiG-29's on the way to try to hunt down the helicopters here. They are a bit bunched up, but trying to hunt down Gazelles with MiG-29s is not effective. And the tractor here with the double hit. Oh, this is not going hot here right now for Barkas with those kind of engagements.
Yeah, the APGM defenses coming out, a Pararover Milan, an Infantry Milan 2, and a Lynx Hellarm with Itos all moving up to put a containment into this south side breakthrough. And still, the heaviest tankage that we're seeing here is the Warrior Applique, very much an infantry and weapons team focused gameplay coming in from What a Man. At this point, I think that is correct. The infantry gameplay seems to be the one where 79th has not invested heavily enough. So many points are in these coups and in these TO-55s and in these Rasvedkas. If they don't need to necessarily be stopped, just What a Man just needs to make sure that they don't trade up, because there is so much free ground to be taken all around the map. First Chieftain Mark 9 getting ordered now to hang
Oh,
flank.
no side shot there on the TO-55. But Rovers coming around. Lynx staying too close to the BMP2s though, getting shut down there a bit too easily. Conquerors in the middle, not finding the Pleak. And the MG will now see it. But the Sultan, oh, the Sultan going a bit too direct. Will get shut down, won't get to X-Ray. +4 still currently going on for Waterman. That's a pretty nice tech here. And even with the capture of the South, it would still be a +2. Oscar only worth a bit, but Barkas will have to rotate towards X-Ray later on. So Challenger Mark II here, coming in for the South. So Waterman really wants to fight for that Oscar point. I'm not sure if that's the correct decision, but if they can get on top of this... Ooh, TO-55 going down already. Milan 2 here, even getting out alive for now. But yeah, not a lot there to deal with the Challenger. This is not what you would want the game to look like right now as Barkas with the 79th aggression. The engagements in the south not as efficient as they wanted to be, and the MiG-29 investment into the Gazelles really something that threw their frontline gameplay back a lot as well.
Yeah, this is looking worryingly like the first two games, but just on the other side. One of the players investing heavily into an aggressive and kind of a rigid plan, and the other player just managing to get themselves into counterattack positions in under 5 minutes. This angle here is especially good for First UK, because First UK's tanks are so slow, but them being close to spawn means that they can both get the supply and the reinforcements really early on. Even if the Motostrelki, the Coups, the TO-55s, they look scary right now, but there is barely any, it's like 3 times longer for reinforcements to arrive. The T-80VK is most likely not going to be there when these most of these troops have already lost their positions or been destroyed.
Yeah, the coups here showing why the MiG-29 was not necessary at all. Here with the Gazelles, the 2 coups, just making mincemeat out of those helicopters in a split second. Well, it's the Challenger here now. Yeah, is a really big danger. TO-55 can't rival that at all. Doesn't have the penetration, doesn't have the protection against the 18 frontal armor, 18 penetration gun on the other side. Warrior Applique with the Milan 2 pretty good against it as well. BMP-1 PG here in danger too. The armored rifles pushing over the open field. That's not that effective, but the Su-24 cluster, oh, can it find the hit? Challenger did move out of the way, but it still goes down. Oh, this might be what enables the turnaround here for the balance and the initiative here, as losing both the Challenger and the Warrior without getting the SU on the end there. That really gives 79 what they need to keep on the pressure in the south, and now it is what a man that has to be careful here with how much they want to maneuver their units, and that really is one of the units that got buffed lately, and that really brought 79 back into S tier. That division currently on a good run, but First Armored has a lot of things that they can bring forward with it as well. So yeah, the southern situation, there they should go full on defensive mode now. They're not gonna break back into Oscar.
Yeah, it's the Challenger was reversing into the wrong direction. I think it could have actually escaped. The reaction from One Man was strong enough, but oh no! Now Warrior Applique gets shot down by a BMP-1G of all things, And even though there are units to defend the middle, these units are not in proper position. So those Motostrelki will open a way for the Plamias and the Conquerors potentially to just move in there. And also currently, even though there is a limited supremacy of forces for one man up north, there's not enough recon or enough like redundance to actually use those units. The Gazelle will try to help out and try to build some kind of coverage so that those like efficiency can be achieved, but the Tunguska will likely just shoot down the Gazelle. Now we're going to see a Jaguar HE is going to dive into the T-80 as a Hellarm fires and gets a stun on it, but the veteran Coop stopped the Jaguar before Hellarm getting a second shot in.
And the Jaguar goes down here. Can the Hellarm find a good hit? It will only hit frontal armor, and not even that. So the TDBVK will survive the death of the Jaguar here. Big issue in the center now, under a lot of pressure as well. Next challenger coming around here. So Waterman really wants to keep on fighting in the center. Not having taken X-Ray with the CV, really costing Waterman a lot of points here right now. Trying to sneak in the CV into the southern zone, but that Sultan just gets killed off immediately. Conquer's in a good spot for Bakas there as well. Getting a shot towards the challenger, getting side shot potential.
No.
Oh, the challenger needs to get out there ASAP. Does survive with 1 hit point, but really in dire need of getting a repair. At least the supply truck already is there, but that was a tough moment there as well. And the northern situation, no aggression there possible either. The warrior peaks going down left, right, and center have left a lot of gaps in there as well. But Bakas currently not really having any strong pushing power either, because they are really overstretched on the front line right now. So no tanks here to go with right now either. Acacia trying to get some good artillery hits. We will see an interesting BMP-1 PG push towards the center. Issue is, there is still a Milan 2 with a supply truck there. And BMP-1 PGs, they don't get smoke. So they really have to be careful, or they will just get all shot down one by one. Milan 2 already getting the first one down already with units inside. Those are the kills that Waterman needs right now to try to stabilize the front line and get back into the driver's seat in this matchup.
Yeah, but speaking of getting back into the game, the Motostrelki RPG-22s have now gotten into the reinforcement road, and with full 4 RPGs, they'll be able to stop at, if not just this rifles unit, but potentially a second unit as well. Like every single, like so one a man cannot afford to lose anything, especially not crucial reinforcements here. Rifles getting shot down here. Second rifles are now moving in and deploying in quite peculiarly into a recon position. I think that might actually be a misdeployment. The SAS and the rifles should have gone to different locations, but at least with the SAS patrol, the Challenger and the Chieftain can open fire on the hidden infantry.
Two clusters back, Tornado turning around at the wrong moment, coming in now, but doesn't stop the drop. Does get the kill at least, but another Challenger bites the dust here. It's only a Challenger Mark II, those are replaceable, and you get the kill at least this time around, so SC 4 numbers down to 1, but still an annoying loss there. The Milan 2 did get all the BMP 1 PGs, but 2 of the Motostrelkis at least did unload beforehand, so they are on the way up. Warrior Pleak in the north once more overextending, once more gets gunned down by the Rapira. No artillery or strike aircraft out currently for Waterman. At least starts to deal with the Motostrelki in the rear, but center now under pressure by the 2 Motostrelki teams, and the push potential in the south is gone as well with the death of the Challenger 2. So situation here still pretty fragile. 400 points ahead, and Tractor Pier moving in there a bit as well. Both sides still taking heavy losses, and the really stretched thin front lines here still make it so that this game could go either way relatively quickly.
Yeah, the overextension up north was an attack which was completely blasted by that Rapira, both the infantry and the rest of them. But now with only a single Spetsnaz GRU being out there with no AT weapons left, the chieftain has just managed to drive itself in the middle
Oh,
to
cluster
do a
coming in
bunch of
though,
free damage.
getting the kill again. SU-24 saving the day. No tornado around this time around. Yeah, that chieftain would have just crushed through everything there most likely, but it got stopped by the crucial airplane. Oh, this is tough, as both sides here just trying to figure out where exactly there's the strong points and the weak points, especially of the enemy sides lie. As Gazelle Rocket Recon trying to figure out where the enemy positions are in the south, gets shut down. Both coups revealed. Mortar teams now coming in towards the south as well. More warriors driving in there, but the Rapira, such a great investment up here. Such a great anti-IFV machine.
Yeah, and the second Motostrelki RPG, like the Gazelle is around here. The Gazelle and the air power could be used to hunt down the second Motostrelki in the back lines, but What a Man is not suspecting that there's a second one. So the second one will probably be able to trade up significantly as well, taking another warrior applique with it, if not two. And yeah, now the Gazelle once again moving up there with the Tunguska is right in position to deal with it, though surprisingly late. So a lot of these units are now spotted by the Gazelle. Ooh, Tornado managed to take out the only AA weapon up north here.
Oh, but the coups get it from the
really
side.
are amazing. Like one of the coups.
Yeah, coups there in a really great position. The three bet there.
Already upletted itself.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
just
incredible.
really, really rough. As usually you don't get AA that far forward, but this way around they really basically shoot down on enemy planes coming out of the enemy spawn. And Warrior Pleak going down to the Motostrelkis behind enemy lines. It's down to one RPG shot, but it did get its job done there. One Warrior Pleak with armored rifles didn't start moving again, and the Coups reloading here to try to deal with the Lynx Hell Arm. Lynx Hell Arm too far forward there as well, just getting blasted. Chieftain Mark 11 with rifles pushing forward in the south. Motostrelkis not really doing much damage yet, but there are two T-80s around it, so the Chieftain Mark 11 is in a world of danger here as well. Chieftain Mark 11 leader coming in, the Warrior Pleaks coming in as well. Though they really haven't found a strong point here. They are not great offensive tools. They're fantastic on the defense, but it seems like Warrior Pleaks mostly have been used kind of as a recon unit here, and that's not how they function. Chieftain Mark 11 now in trouble as well. Motostrelkis there getting some decent damage, stunning them down, and now the Mi-24 P-80 getting good hits, so +2 going on for the red team now. Damage in the center is pretty dangerous as well, as the Motostrelki is now fighting against the 7.6mm MG, whilst in the north we see ATGMs flying around. BMP-1 PG goes down, Chieftain Mark 11 down in the south. Tractor Pierce and SCO all now trying to rotate north, but one gets gunned down on the way there. So the situation here is still rather fragile for What a Man. The loss of all the tanks here really, really painful, and they just have to give up the south now. They do so, rotate everything north, but with the recapture of Alpha, Bakas is in a pretty good spot right now, and the air situation here pretty good for them as well, especially thanks to the double coup.
Yeah, and we guess, oh no, nearly side-shotting the Chieftain Mark 11 as it was retreating. But yeah, I think we can see kind of the inherent issue in having lower grade tanks here. Like, before you can safely do tank attacks, you need to secure your airspace against the enemy Su-24s. Now, so which means that before you have your tanks going over the top, you have to have numerous track repairs and tornadoes, if at all possible. So now you need to have tornadoes, track repairs, and infantry and recon and a number of tanks, because 1v1 you don't beat the enemy. And then you also want to have the mortars to smoke down the enemy.
Oh, T80 BVK getting side-shotted in the middle. Paramilan getting the really important kill there. X-Ray is not captured. Tornado cluster here coming in again. That is the reverse that you kind of need. Those are the important kills that can potentially bring you back here. Cluster being used against infantry up north here, not that efficient, but at least still doing a bit of damage, especially some stress damage there. Conquerors here will fail to kill the Warrior Milan Applique. Warrior Applique pushing forward up north as well, now getting some fire support onto the Motostrelkis, and Rapier are not with them, so those Motostrelkis are out to be killed, but the +4 is now the problem for the blue team. What a man needs to figure out that situation. Chieftain Mark 11 now rotated in north, and really that Rapira has been the MVP so far. And no artillery, no air here currently around to deal with it. The next SU-24 cluster here in the sky. No tornado out. Tractor appears pretty far back. So the cluster bomber will get its drop off. Tractor Pierre will get one missile on target most likely, but won't get a hit. And Chieftain Mark Line and another Warrior Applique biting the dust here. So the +4 taking on nicely here. Good position for our player in red this time around.
Yeah, I mean, this, as I was saying, just like with the fundamentals going against the fundamentals, you have Coups and Osas and Tunguskas on one side with Tractor Piers on the other. You have Chieftains and Challengers on the one side with T-80s on the other. You have Jaguars and Tornadoes on one side with SU-25s and 24s on the other.
TDBVK number 2 goes down in the center. At least gets the capture, but we have a +6 now going on here. Motostrelki RPG under heavy fire as well. They don't get a hit here with the RPGs, so they will go down as well. And yeah, that is the lifeline that What a Man has here right now, that the center is still going decently well. They lost the southern point, but that is all still manageable if they win the north. Just the question is, how do you win the north? The ADB is coming in around in good numbers, and they don't have any challengers around. Airplay obviously is a way, but the Coups on the other side have done a pretty good job. They are a bit far away right now. They've rotated further south. That is a mistake. Tornado wins the fight against the SU-25. Might get shut down by the Eagles, though. Yes, it does get shut down by the Eagles. And there is a big blob here now, setting up for Barkas to take the rest of the center here. Motostrelki and a good couple of BMP-1 PGs coming in there. Chieftain Mark 11 rotating in, but the Conquerors is reloaded. That is a big issue. No fire support there for First Armored to get rid of this. And the Mi-24P rotating in here as well, so situation is really rather fragile.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's just the forward deployment advantage, which was used defensively. The Paramilan 2s have been excellent here. They've performed well, both the truck cars and the regular infantry teams. But just the decisive attack down south, especially the investment into those two coups, managed to negate the early counter investments into air and helicopters that First UK really like to do. And with the gaps in British air defenses, with tornadoes getting shut down or pushed away, the Su-24s could repeatedly just come in and prevent the buildup of a counterforce. And the veteran challengers, they could have been the ones, they could have fought the fight, but they didn't. They stayed still and waited for reinforcements because they need the combined arms to actually push against the combined arms force. And through this time, 79th could punish this with the cluster bombers. These slow buildups took away all the momentum that the British had in the northern side, giving basically the Soviets time to build up larger forces of BMP-1s and Motostrelki that could then just grind down the enemy. Not to mention the reinforcement line cutting by the Motostrelki RPG-22 performed amazingly, not just by getting kills, but also just freezing the enemy, paralyzing them, making them doubt their own forces and probably preventing some reinforcement buys, and maybe even manifesting as micro mistakes on other sides of the map.
So yeah, GGVP here, Bakas taking it with a really clutch 3-2 in the end after a pretty clean 2-0 lead. Waterman did crawl back, but in the end, 79th just currently a bit too strong with those cluster bomber runs. If you don't have long range AA on the ground, it's hard to control the air against them, and especially with the great coup play, the coups here being kind of the secret MVPs of this game, as they kept the S-24s safe and in the sky and kept tornadoes from just circling around, and also killed the potential of counter strikes there with the Jaguars being shot down. And yeah, the Milan Tusi in the center did a good job, but in the end, the push in the south did work out, and the northern counterflank hold by the Rapira. Rapira really doing well there against the Warrior Pleak. The recon maybe not quite good enough for Waterman. Really good show from both players. Fantastic little final here in Division 4. And in the end, a victory for Bacchus. And with that, the title of Division 4 champion. Both players will move on to Division 3 next season. I'm pretty excited for that, as Division 3 is where it really starts to get fully competitive. But both players have gotten through a lot of improvement through the season as well. So I'm quite excited for that. And Season 6 already around the corner. All of you already can sign up if you want to with the link that you can find in the chat in a split second or down in the description below on YouTube. As both players here really giving us a good final. So we're really looking forward to what we will get there out of them in Season 6, starting 19th of January. We're already more than halfway filled up, so if you want to get a slot, sign up ASAP so that you don't get put onto the reserve list, as the spots are pretty quickly filling up here right now. So it's nice to see the interest still all around there. And yeah, with that, we finish Season 5 here.
This is, for Division 4 finals, had a lot of emotions, a variety of strategies on both sides. And I didn't go and spoil myself. I didn't know who was going to win. And I honestly felt like Waterman was doing it. I think Barkas kind of just it got a little bit too cocky in the first two games, but in the last one, just relying on fundamentals. And when you rely on fundamentals, 79th is better than first UK. And the first UK player needs to show the kind of initiative that you gain with experience. And with Division 4 players, of course, the initiative and experience are often lacking. But hoping that with these players moving up to Division 3, that the experience will start building up, will keep building up. And I think both players here have absolute potential to be future league competitors.
Yeah, and also really excited for all the balance changes that will come with the next patch in January. We will get two new divisions, but also a pretty nice sizable patch that we will be able to show to all of you guys in 1 hour time. So I will be back here with another stream at 5 p.m. Paris time, which is in 1 hour, or 55 minutes to be exact. So I will take now a short break, get myself some dinner, and then we will be back, guys, later with some more WARNO preview of the next Nemesis and patch. Yep.
Protos, can I have you on the microphone saying, quote, "I am a Christmas adventurer"?
What? Yeah, I absolutely. I am a Christmas adventurer.
Yes. Okay, so everybody go watch Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After the Other. I'm never going to let this down. I gotcha.
Oh, no.
But yeah.
Oh, no, I know. Chloride got me good there. Oh, no. Yeah, it's a good movie. I'm obviously just faking it, guys, infiltrating the bad guys from the inside. But yeah, with that, guys, See you all in an hour. Thanks for watching us throughout Season 5. Season 6 will be amazing. We have a little other tournament coming up in between. And yeah, until then, have a nice day for now, and see you all later. Any final words from you, Chloride?
Nothing except that go if you haven't watched the Unreal 5 Mario meme, watch the Super Mario meme. I just posted it in both of the chats. You gotta keep up with the memes, and this one is a especially good one.